Hello and welcome to the News at 7, where we get to the heart of the day's stories and communities across Scotland. Tonight, calls for prison reform after a damning report into the deaths of William Brown and Katie Allen at Polmont Young Offenders Institution found their deaths could have been avoided.
I don't believe my sister made the decision to take her own life. I believe she was too scared to keep living.
As well as hearing more from Katie's brother Scott, we'll talk to Amar Amir, the lawyer who represented both families at the fatal accident inquiry. Also on tonight's programme, the artisan upcyclers who've had a visit from the First Minister. They're saving tons of discarded stuff from going to landfill after giving it a new lease of life. I've also sat down with the rowers preparing for a gruelling 3,000-mile Atlantic race for charity. And we'll have all the sport with Lewis. What have you got tonight?
Well, Laura, it's the Scottish Cup fourth round weekend, and I've been chatting to a manager who's hoping to cause an upset in Edinburgh tomorrow.
Hello, I'm Laura McKeever. Welcome to the News at 7. Fatal accident inquiry into the deaths of two young people at Polmont Young Offenders Institution has found their deaths could have been avoided if reasonable precautions had been taken. William Brown and Katie Allen both took their own lives at the facility in 2018. 16-year-old William, also known as William Lindsay, was found dead in his cell on the 7th of October, 2 days after being taken off suicide watch. Katie Allen was 21 when she took her own life, 3 months into a sentence for dangerous and drink driving. Our reporter Katrina Renton sat down with Katie's brother Scott.
Katie was almost three people. She was my best friend, my big sister, and almost like another mother to me. She was very, very close to me. I was very close to her. I could always be very honest with her. She was a really, really, really intensely kind person. She was incredibly well thought of. She was incredibly social. She was incredibly fun to be around. She was always so kind to everyone. And I loved her at the end of the day. She was my sister.
And then this accident happened. Katie held her hands up and said it was her fault. How was that? How did that impact on you?
I'm not going to lie, it was confusing beyond anything else. I didn't understand everything that was going on. I had no idea what she was going into. And then once she was into prison, it was seeing someone a treasure in a really vulnerable situation. I could tell she was trying to hide something. The first time in her life I'd seen her try to hide something because she was suffering. She was being bullied. She was in an environment that was entirely alien to her. And so steadily we started to see the impacts of it. Visit by visit, she'd be a little less comfortable. She'd be a little less adjusted. She'd be more exposed to the environment in a way that was slowly killing her. Even if she had survived and gotten out of prison, she wouldn't have been the same person. She would have been damaged because of it.
And your sister was absolutely upfront that she had done something
Yes.
wrong.
She admitted guilt. She did not say she was innocent at any given point. She was apologetic.
And she wanted to make amends, didn't she?
Exactly. My sister didn't need sentenced to prison. Any danger to the public, which realistically is the only need for prison, was taken away when she couldn't drive.
Did the Scottish Prison Service kill your sister?
Yes. I don't believe my sister made the decision to take her own life. I believe she was too scared to keep living. They blatantly murdered her. They tortured her. They defiled her. They destroyed someone. And then, when all was said and done, let her have the mercy of death. They didn't just kill her. They destroyed her.
And if your mum and dad hadn't been as articulate and vocal as they are, do you think that anyone would ever have known your sister's story?
No. It would have been another number on the page. No one would have known Katie's story. No one would have known that Katie had even died. It would have been another number on the page. And that's the end of it.
It's been 7 years since Katie passed away. How have you coped over that time?
It's not been easy. I won't lie. It caused me to lose friends. It caused me to lose social groups. I left high school with maybe 2 friends, and that was it. It got in the way of me developing myself as a person because I was too scared to go and do anything new. It got in the way of me forming friendships because I was too scared to lose someone else. I've had to learn how to become a person again. And it's taken 7 years to get there. 7 years I'll never get back. They took someone I loved, turned their memory into pain. And I've only just now, after 7 years, been able to fix that.
Who is they?
The criminal justice system.
And what is Katie's legacy to you as your sister?
Katie's legacy to me is all the good memories I have of her. That's taken a long time to get to, work through everything else and all the anger and everything that's complicated about it, but I've been able to remember Katie for the woman she was. Katie's legacy is change. We're not quite there yet, but I'm confident we will. I'm confident we'll get the change we want from this. And that's Katie's legacy. That's some meaning to her death.
So that this doesn't happen to any other young person.
Exactly. This won't happen to someone else.
Well, joining me now is the lawyer Amar Amir, who represented Katie and William's family throughout the fatal accident inquiry. Thanks for coming in tonight. That legacy that Scott spoke about there, what needs to change then to make sure that this doesn't happen again?
Well, in the 419-page report that Sheriff Simon Collins delivered, it's probably the most devastating indictment of our prison system in over half a century since the law was passed on fatal accident inquiries in 1976. And he delivers, he eviscerates the whole prison system and the Forth Valley Health Board. And as I said today at the press conference with the families of William Lindsay and of Katie Allen, I said that the prison service, the senior officials, the prison officers, deputy governors and governors, Scottish ministers, first ministers and successive justice ministers should all hang their heads in shame because they have gaslighted these families. They have denied them the truth. They've obstructed the truth. And 6.5 years later, this afternoon, the Scottish Prison Service decided to provide an apology because they've been found out. Well, as long as they have Crown immunity and they know they will not be prosecuted, they will continue and the deaths will continue. As Sheriff Collins said, in that time period, he cannot understand why it took 6.5 years for us to get to the end of a fatal accident inquiry. So I think, first of all, the fatal accident inquiry, the recommendations are the best that you've ever seen.
Them.
Absolutely. It's robust, it's devastating, but they're not mandatory. So the Scottish Government should make them mandatory. Secondly, the Scottish Government needs to stop acting in unison and cheerleaders for the Scottish Prison Service, as Angela Constance did today. And thirdly, we need to lift Crown immunity, which effectively is a licence to kill for the Scottish Prison Service, and it can only be done by the UK Government. So we're looking to Keir Starmer to lift that for all prisons throughout the United Kingdom, and that will be a legacy and ensure that young people and people across the prison system do not lose their lives.
The Allen family want that change to the law to address Crown immunity, and William's brother also spoke about that today too. Is that possible? Could that happen?
Absolutely. 20 years ago, a Labour government actually had it on the agenda to bring it through, but they fell off the parliamentary agenda, and we've already made moves. We've been down to Westminster, and we're talking to a cross-party group of MPs. I have 28 cases. Is there a danger
information would be lost, though?
Sorry?
Is there a danger information would be lost?
Information would be lost in what?
In terms of people giving evidence, people would be less reluctant to speak.
No, absolutely not. I mean, at the end of the day, if people are responsible for a criminal action, if this was a member of the public, if every week somebody was dying in a restaurant, those restaurant owners would be prosecuted. They wouldn't be allowed to continue in business. If this was happening in a school, if it was happening in a police station, the previous Chief Constable, Ian Livingston, said to me some 2 years ago, he found it was astounding that somebody died in his police station across Scotland somewhere. They're locking them up for 24, 48 hours. His Police Scotland, he, as a Chief Constable, he would be prosecuted. Yet for some reason, you can lock up somebody for months, for years in the prison service, and they're treated worse than animals, and you can literally quite get away with state-sanctioned murder. So absolutely, they should face criminal consequences. Otherwise, it will continue.
We'll have to leave it there, but thank you so much for coming in tonight. And a spokesperson for the Scottish Prison Service said their thoughts are with the families of Katie Allen and William Lindsay. They added that they are committed to doing everything we can to support people and keep them safe, and that they're grateful to Sheriff Collins for his recommendations. And if you would like to get in touch with us tonight about anything you hear or something that you'd like us to talk about here on News at 7, we would really like to hear your story. Our email address is news7@bbc.co.uk. That's news7@bbc.co.uk. Thank you so much for joining us on tonight's News at 7. More to come in the programme, including...
And I'll be here to tell you all about Timothy Chalamet's new rock and roll Bob Dylan biopic, as well as Scottish indie flick Faithful.
And whilst today has been overcast but mild, this weekend will bring a noticeably cooler feel. I'll be back later with a full forecast.
Now, they say one man's trash is another man's treasure, and a group of artisans in Tayside are celebrating turning their 60th tonne of trash into Upcycle Treasure. The Tayside Upcycling and Craft Centre saves all types of stuff from ending up on landfill, turning around things like furniture, jewellery and clothing. And today, the First Minister John Swinney paid the centre a visit to mark their achievement. And joining us now is the founder and director of the initiative, Alfie Lynetta. Alfie, good evening to you. Did anything catch the First Minister's eye, first of all?
Hi, Laura. Lots of things caught his eye. Unfortunately, he didn't buy anything, but it was great that he took time out of his busy schedule to visit us.
Well, tell us more about this initiative. How did it start? Because it's got lots of purposes, doesn't it? It's about helping the environment, but it's also giving people a really important task and something to focus on.
Yeah. The reason it started is basically because I've got a very incredibly talented wife. She started upcycling about 15 years ago, opened up a little shop, and from there it's just grown. And over and above the environmental message that we give, we wanted to have a showroom that could showcase and people could come along and touch and feel all the furniture that had been upcycled. And there was nothing really like that at the time in Scotland. So, we opened 4 years ago, and I think we started with 7 artisans, and now we're over 40. It's incredible.
We're just seeing some pictures of the amazing things that you're churning out. What kind of people are coming and buying them? Do people like to come and have a wander around and see what's on offer?
To be honest, I mean, it's a real mix of people, right across all kind of age groups. It's fantastic, the fact that people buying their first home, young couples, they love the environmental message that we give. If they're buying a piece of second-hand furniture, then they know that's been diverted from landfill. But more importantly, they know that lots of CO2 has not been emitted in manufacturing a new piece. And the fact that every piece is unique, we sell the story about the piece of furniture as well as the artisan. It makes us really quite unique. And we're really lucky. We're well placed between Dundee and Perth. We're on a busy road with lots of passing traffic. So we'll get lots and lots of people coming in, and they share that story that we've got there. And
send more around. Well, listen, Alfie, lovely to hear from you tonight, and we're glad that you got an important visitor today. Keep up the good work. Good to see you.
Great, thank you. Bye.
Let's get a roundup now of the stories making the BBC News app in Scotland. And new CCTV footage has emerged of 2 missing sisters who disappeared in Aberdeen. It shows Eliza and Henrietta Hoosty visiting the bridge where they vanished on the 7th of January. A man's been arrested after 2 women were assaulted and a flat was set on fire in Cambuslang. Several homes on Mill Road were evacuated during the incident yesterday. MSPs won't stop the expansion of Scottish salmon farming despite concerns about its environmental impact. They say they're worried about the effect on rural jobs. A search is underway to find 30 missing fragments of the Stone of Destiny. They were lost during repairs after the stone was stolen from Westminster Abbey in the 1950s. And for more information on all of these stories, you can scan the QR code there on the screen for you now. It'll take you to the BBC Scotland News app, where there is lots more, including the news Edinburgh Zoo's offering the chance to feed tigers as part of an experience costing £2,000. Now, as far as challenges go, this will be a huge test of endurance. 4 Scottish female rowers are preparing to cross the Atlantic in the world's toughest row. That's covering 3,000 miles unassisted. The team, known as Scotland the Wave, are raising funds for 4 charities that are close to their hearts. And I caught up with Nikki Lucking and Heather McCallum to see how their training's going.
It's been 3 years to get us to this point, and it's been a lot of hard work with lots of fundraising, meeting up, getting on the boat and training. So yes, it's been loads of preparation, but we're nearly there, 11 months to go.
Presumably you guys have to get on, you have to work well together, have your different strengths as well.
Yeah, it's massively important. I think with the World's Toughest Row, you can either have teams of 1 to 5. You can imagine how difficult it is on your own, but I think 4 is quite a good number. And some people join as friends, some are family, and you get your fallouts and you get your people that are lifelong friends. But I think we've been so lucky that we have all really got on so well ever since. And we do all have different strengths and weaknesses, but I think we're all quite generally a happy team, like to have a laugh but then get serious when it comes, and so yeah, it's just a bit of meeting in the middle, and so far so good, so hope it stays that way.
I know, because it's going to be 30 days plus, isn't it? And I'm sure loads of people are imagining just about the practicalities, Nikki, of the 4 of you on this very confined open space as well. Talk us through what you're going to eat and how will you manage the shifts, if you like, as well.
We're favouring at the minute 2 hours on during the day and 3 hours on at night. So there should be 2 rowing. Unless it storms, then we possibly would have 3 up just to get us through the storms, and then 2 in bed. So that sort of frees the deck space up a wee bit. So we have 2 types of foods that we need to take.
You've got some of them, haven't you? Show us what's for dinner then.
We have these lovely dry packs and these more wet packs. So these ones we heat up with hot water, and we have, if we can get the jet boiler on, that depends on the weather, and those we eat nice and cold if we cannot use the jet boiler for safety reasons.
Yeah, and you're not got a lot of time. It's, with your 2 hours off or 3 hours off, whatever we decide, that's your time to sleep, navigate, eat, all these things. So you really are just kind of quickly, that's it, doing what you can.
What will the biggest challenges be?
Probably the mental toughness as well as physical. So yeah, the sleep deprivation will be massive. You see videos of them and they look, it's insufferable kind of thing. So
you're doing it for charities, a group of different charities, aren't you, Nikki? And how much do you think that will be spurring you on when it does get tough?
For me, it's a biggie because my dad was in the lifeboat as a child. I remember him going out to sea, and he's no longer with us, but I just know he'd be there behind me, wondering what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. But yeah, I think when you're so invested, we're all invested in our own charities, I definitely think that'll keep us going during the toughness.
Well, listen, best of luck. We cannot wait to hear about your progress. Maybe you can join us somehow, do a phone call into the news at 7 and tell us how you're getting on. But lovely to see you. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Just remarkable. We'll keep an eye on that one. Right, still to come, we have your Friday entertainment news and weekend weather. But first, it's sport time with Lewis.
Thank you, Laura. Hi there. It is the weekend that so many people across Scottish football have been waiting on, and it's finally arrived. Yes, it's the thrills and spills of the Scottish Cup 4th round. 16 ties spread between tonight and Monday, and there are plenty of potential banana skins in there for the bigger clubs. Take Hearts, for instance, who are at Glebe Park to face Highland League Brecon City tonight, live on this channel. Then tomorrow, Aberdeen, winless in their last 12 games, visit Borough Briggs to take on Elgin City of League 2. Let's hear how Don's boss Jimmy Tulleen is feeling about that one.
The cup is an amazing thing, and that's why you also have to respect the opponent and you have to prepare yourself, because everybody who's followed the cups in every corner of the world, things can happen, so we have to be ready. And this, when you're so close to the fans and you can hear everything, there's also a nice spirit, a nice feeling in that, so I'm looking forward to the game.
Well, as for Elgin City, they beat League 1 side Kelty Hearts 3-2 in the 3rd round, and they sit 3rd in League 2. I caught up with manager Alan Hale to gauge his mood ahead of hosting Aberdeen.
Yeah, it's a massive occasion, isn't it? And one that everyone in the club and the community is really looking forward to. The community Elgin's got really hyped behind the tie. They've sold out the capacity in the ground. Been a real buzz about the town this week, and we've sensed that when we've been up for training and things like that. So to welcome a Premiership team like Aberdeen to Borough Briggs it's a privilege, and it highlights the magic of the cup.
It's the job of the media to hype up the cup upsets, Alan, of course. But talk to me about the opportunity that lies ahead. You guys obviously knocked out Kelty Hearts in the last round, a tier above. How much can confidence play a part in sport at any level, really?
Football's got a long history of the underdog, come out in top and defying expectations in cup competitions. So while it's a tough challenge, while all the odds are stacked against us and everyone will think that Aberdeen will win and win the game comfortably, as they should, it's certainly a possibility that, you know, the upset might happen, and why can it not happen tomorrow if things fall our way?
And just finally, Alan, what would it mean for you as manager and for the players, but indeed for the whole club and the fans, if you could be on the right end of a historic result at the weekend?
Yeah, look, it would mean everything. Obviously, it's stuff of fairy tales and stuff of dreams, and the important thing for me is that, you know, the players don't you know, allow the occasion to overawe them tomorrow. You know, it's you know, we have a responsibility as a group of players and a staff around the club to give those supporters that are coming to the game tomorrow a performance that they can leave the ground being proud of, and I'm sure the players want to do that for themselves and showcase themselves on the national stage. And you know, as long as we do that tomorrow, I'll be a proud manager, whatever happens. But yeah, as long as the opportunity is there, we'll definitely dream, and we'll believe that we can pull off a positive result.
Absolutely. That's what the Cup is all about. Well, Alan, all the best to you and your players for the weekend, and thank you very much for joining us.
No problem. Pleasure to be on. Thank you.
And remember to check out the BBC Sports Scotland website, where just now there's a good article you can read by Clive Lindsay there, detailing all of the weekend's potential Cup upsets. And there could be a few, who knows. Look forward to the weekend ahead, Laura.
Yeah, banana skins make it more interesting,
They
don't
do.
they? Cheers, Lewis.
Cheers.
OK, it's Friday, isn't it? So let's unwind now and get some entertainment news. Our entertainment reporter, Indigo Stafford, has been looking at some new movies. So Indigo, last week we were chatting about TV, but it's January and it's definitely cinema season, isn't it?
It certainly is, and the big one this week is A Complete Unknown, that biopic all about Bob Dylan's life. And Edith Bowman was on the red carpet at the London premiere, where she spoke to the film star Timothée Chalamet.
We got a feeling we were getting a glimpse of the future.
A tremendous artist, Bob Dylan, someone I look up to hugely, someone who was as impactful in the United Kingdom as he was in the United States, and somebody who was a dream to play, dream to learn his worldview. And it's something I hope, you know, I'm excited to see young faces like myself in the crowd, you know, because I want this to be a bridge to this kind of music.
And from Hollywood in California to Hollywood at home, we've been speaking to Mrs. Brown Boy's icon, Gary Hollywood. He's among the stars of a new fairy tale that's been crowdfunded here in Scotland. He told us all about Faithful.
It is said that the walls between our world and the next are so thin that when the moon is high, the Cooshie can come for you.
A little Scottish folklore fairy tale story, and I get to play the dad. It takes us on a little journey of grief and magic. When I got this through reading it, I had recently lost my brother and then my father, so the part of the grief side of things is what really attracted me to it.
Faithful will premiere at the Grosvenor Picture Theatre in Glasgow, and it's Falkirk-born actress Lily Maguire's first ever film role. Writer Fraser Coole told us how her character is inspired by Princess Merida from Disney film Brave.
We don't seem to be exploring our Scottish fairy tales enough, and I was like, well, I'm going to change that. And I just had this idea in my head of this like magical green leafy fairy dog and a young girl who looked at Merida, and then Lily came along.
Yeah, I get that a lot. Just the looks, the accent, all of it. Just yeah, it's very Scottish.
And some other films that are out at the cinema just now as well is We Live in Time. It's supposed to be a very emotional rom-com. And if you like your horrors, we also have Nosferatu out as well.
Oh, so Faithful at the cinema and The Traitors still on TV. We'll talk more about that next week, I think, won't we? Thanks, Indigo. And that Scottish film Faithful is coming out in March. Right, time for some weather now. For the weekend ahead, joy is here, and the weather watchers have been delivering today, haven't they? We've got some grey skies though, unfortunately.
Absolutely. As you can see, Stirling looking beautiful, but very grey. And despite the cloud, it actually has been mild today, particularly across the northeast. gorgeous skies here in Port Errol. Here, temperatures peaking around about 13 or 14 Celsius. But for Plockton in the Highlands and the Western Isles, it has been blustery, and indeed we will see chillier conditions developing throughout this weekend. So let's take a wee look at our pressure chart. That is showing us that tonight, that rain that's currently across the Western Isles will move away through the Northern Isles. Behind it in the north, drier skies developing, but a chilly night to come there. Elsewhere, staying rather cloudy, dry, settled for the weekend, and then we have a weather front pushing in from the west, bringing a wee bit more in the way of cloud and rain. Tomorrow morning, first thing, particularly for Dumfries and Galloway, the Central Belt and the borders, it will be rather cloudy, but elsewhere a crisp start, frosty for some, but with early brightness for much of the far north and the northeast in particular. The Northern Isles and the Western Isles, though, staying rather blustery, rather cloudy here for much of the day. But as we can see across the north and in particular across the northeast, it will be dry, it will be bright, plenty of sunshine to be enjoyed there. Elsewhere, a mixture of clouds, some sunny spells, staying on the blustery side in the northwest. Elsewhere, winds lighter, but it is going to feel noticeably cooler than the temperatures we have enjoyed this week. Moving on to Sunday, similar conditions initially. It will be dry, bright for many, and once more, it is the east and the central belt that will hold on to the best of that sunshine. From the west, we'll see thickening cloud and this weather front pushing in, bringing with it rain, especially to the west coast and the Western Isles. Still blustery here, although winds are going to ease, but for all, it is going to feel noticeably colder. Now, as we move through Sunday night into Monday and Tuesday, as we can see, still settled with a few weather fronts moving in, but by midweek, we have low pressure once more in charge, and that will bring with it wet and windy conditions. To start the week, however, on Monday, again, it is going to be largely dry, but that weather front we saw pushing in from the west, bringing with it more in the way of cloud, the northeast clinging on to the sunshine for much of that time, and actually some sunshine developing too later in the day in the northwest Highlands, albeit combined with a good few showers. And as we can see, moving into Tuesday, quite a similar picture, a mixture of cloud, a good few showers, and then it is going to grow unsettled as the week progresses. That's your forecast.
Joy, thanks so much. And remember to get in touch with us if you like with any stories. Our email address is news7@bbc.co.uk. That's it from us for tonight. Suzanne Allen will be here tomorrow at 7 o'clock. But goodbye from me and all the team here. Have a lovely weekend. Bye-bye.